You guys. Okay, so I recorded an hour of this thing, and the microphone wasn't even on, so there's no sound in it. I just am so mad at myself for doing that. So here we are again. First thing is, this is going to be kind of like a podcast thing where I kind of give you an update on just very, very surface level what's going on in Las Vegas real estate market, as well as, the financial world at large. And then a little bit more localized. It will be focused on what I'm doing with my real estate business. And at the end, we'll talk about, some things that I'm doing in the collecting world, some coin collecting, some action figures, I think will be a lot of fun to talk about. So the first thing is, and like I said, I recorded an hour of this. I said some great stuff in there, and it's like, gosh, I didn't even record it. But I'll try and remember all the points that I had. We'll start at the beginning, which is a great place to start. So here is kind of a cursory look on what the housing market is doing in Las Vegas right now. I even did all this already. Okay, so we'll start here. Okay, we're looking at residential. Okay, let's refresh it. There's 1,366 new listings with 249 listings back on the market in the past week. So that means that in the past week, there have been almost 250 listings that have gone off the market. Either they're under contract or other reasons, and then now they're back on the market. Something to pay attention to. Price decrease, 1,941 price decreases in the matter of a week. And that is a very important metric to look at. And in fact, we can select this, and then we can look at the homes, and we can sort it by days on market. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of sellers will freak out when their home's been on the market for a long time. And so they decrease the price. Oh, man, this is price decrease. It's been on the market for 971 days. And we'll just focus on this. Yeah, like I said, we'll go back to March. So March 1st, it's under contract, and then March 15th, it's back on the market at 262, and then temporarily off the market, and then it's back to active. So they raised it from 262 to 299 in March of last year, and then in May of last year, they raised it another 10,000, and then in September of last year, they raised it by 50,000. Can you believe that increase? 50,000, and then they got it under contract. So they're feeling pretty good. 6 days later, the contract falls through. They raise it another 30,000, then they raise it another 10,000, 11,000, whatever, and then they reduce it. They're like 400,000 was the breaking point. 399 to 419. Okay, maybe. And then 419 to 439. They're just like, keep going up, baby. We're not getting any responses at these numbers. We got to increase the price, man. It's such an interesting strategy. They just keep increasing the price to get people to take a look at it. Well, here we go. We finally break in June. We say, 439 is too much. We raised it by, in the past year, we've raised the price by... What is that? That's $180,000. Let's get an exact number. This is for the benefit of the audience. That I'm not just gonna ballpark it. What is this? So we start at 262.9. We gotta subtract it. So 434 is the top. Minus 262. Yeah, $172,000. So in the past year, we've raised the price of this $172,000. They said, and maybe that's a little extreme. They said maybe we went too far. So we're gonna reduce the price. Here's what we're gonna do. Listen, guys, we're gonna reduce the price by $5,000. Now, don't everybody put your offer in at once, okay? I realize now that we're 5,000 less, that we're going to be so competitive in the market that it's basically sold already. but we're going to reduce it by 5,000 and see what happens. I actually reduced it by, and then they reduced it by, another 5,000 this month. So that's kind of the story on this property. I just like having fun, just looking at like what they were trying to do with the price to try and move this thing, and it's still not able to move it. I mean, there's a lot of investors out there that are still trying to come in with cash, but I think at this price point, there's probably not a lot of upside for the investor. In fact, I can kind of, maybe it'll show on there. I'm going to turn off the MLS, the private thing. So maybe it'll show on here what the rent is. Because, if you're an investor, there's going to be enough upside on this investment. So the rent is 13. Selling it for 434. I mean, 18, 15 times 12. That's making you 21,000 a year. But you're going to be paying. Let's see. It's like mortgage. This back on so you can see what I'm doing. There should be a mortgage calculator on Google, but this will be fine. Okay, home value. We put 429, and we want a down payment. We're gonna put 60,000 as a down payment. Loan amount 423, interest rate 5%, and let's see. So your monthly payment is gonna be $27.56. And you're making $18.13. Yeah, it does not make sense in this market to buy something like this at that price. Yeah, I mean, if you can get better terms than that on a mortgage or put more down payment, like, I put 6,000. Let's see what 60,000 down payment. Let's calculate that. So 2440 is your payment, and that's gonna still have a PMI because your down payment is less than 20%. In fact, let's look at what a 20% down payment would look like. So then your monthly payment is $21.46.74. Still no upside. Remember, our rent on this property is $18.13. So yeah, it's really hard to make the numbers make sense on that one. If I was an investor, I wouldn't be interested in a property at that price point because that tenant is in place until the beginning of next year. So there's no way that you can raise the rent. You can buy them out. That's just going to cost more money. And I didn't look at the area, but I mean, do the rental comps even suggest that it could be worth more money? Or is $18.13 a fair price or even a high price for where it is? I don't really know. That's all research that you have to do when you're looking at investing. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. This is just one property that's been on the MLS for almost 1,000 days, and it will probably stay on the MLS for another long time until the numbers make sense for an investor or someone who's looking to buy a property that has a tenant in place. Yummy. So this coffee, this is just the pumpkin spice coffee. Guys, listen. I love coffee. There are enthusiasts about things. Like, there are things that I'm enthusiastic about. Like, if there's a magazine about it, I would subscribe to the magazine if people did magazines anymore. You remember how there's, like, magazines for, like, people that are into cars and people who are into guitars and tattoos and anything that you can be enthusiastic about. So I would subscribe to, there's a few magazines. If they existed, I'd probably subscribe to them. Coffee. If there's a coffee magazine, probably. Another thing is ranch. I love ranch dressing. It's so good. Is there a ranch magazine? Is there a ranch weekly? Because if there is, I would subscribe to it. I put it on everything. I do pizza, fries, everything gets ranch on it. I'm enthusiastic about ranch. It would be Ranch Aficionado magazine. It would probably be a quarterly magazine because there's just like so much information in there and it takes a lot to prepare. Anyway, what else is going on in real estate news? So one thing I talked about in the other video that doesn't have any sound is that there were bank runs last month. There were bank runs going on in China. And do we have the display up, or is it still is it still a black screen? No, the display's up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here's an article I wanted to share. China scrambles to defuse alarm over mortgage boycotts and bank runs. So one of the things that I want to highlight in this article is right here in China. In China, real estate firms are allowed to sell homes before completing them, and customers have to start repaying mortgages before they are in possession of the new property. So, okay. Housing markets are really localized, right? Because of the constraints that the cities place on the opportunities to develop new housing, to manage the housing that already exists, and, you know, the kind of condition of the resale housing and the inventory. All of those things are really localized. They're specific to the city that they exist in. So Las Vegas's market is very different from another city, another metropolitan area like Los Angeles, even though a lot of the population recently has migrated from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. The housing market is still different. So one of the things that we'll be seeing in Las Vegas is that there are a lot of new home developments, a ton of these just everywhere, all over the city. And it's not something you see like in Los Angeles too much. A lot of the houses there are resale homes. There's not a lot of development. But, you know, here in the desert, there's so much space to expand. So there's this constant, you know, expansion of homes in suburban neighborhoods being constructed. But when we see a time like the last year when interest rates have increased so much, we notice that people who have ordered those homes to be built, they could have afforded them when they ordered the home. But now that the interest rate has increased so drastically over a short period of time, that by the time the home is completed, they can no longer afford the house because of the interest rate. And so we're going to see a lot of sales fall through as a result of this. The wait of like 8 to 9 months between ordering the home and actually paying for the home to finance it. And so I think in the future, in the next year or couple of years, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people who are interested in buying a home to find, you know, deals at, you know, new home builds, because there's going to be an abundance of those and there's going to be a shortage of buyers when those contracts fall through. So that's just something to keep an eye on. And the reason I bring that up is because the difference here, and the reason I highlighted that paragraph, is that it says that real estate firms can sell the homes before completing them. So that's the key difference, is that the homes here in Las Vegas are not sold until the homes are completed. Here, they're completely sold. In fact, the people are paying for them while they're still being built. And then the home builder takes the money that the people are paying for the home that hasn't been built yet, and they use that to build other homes and sell those homes, and then take that money, and they just continue to do that. They just keep chaining the money, pushing it forward. But when people start to default on these things and they stop paying for the homes, and the homes stop being built because the home builder runs out of money, that's going to lead to some serious ripple effects across the housing market in China. And that's what we're seeing. And this is mid-July. Again, this is a little bit old news, but it's something that I really wanted to talk about. So we see that stocks rallied in response to a regulator in China saying that they're going to work with local governments, and they're going to ensure delivery of unfinished residential projects. So in other words, they're going to try and work on nationalizing the completion of those projects. And then if you see here, it says buyers across 18 provinces and 47 cities had stopped making payments by last Wednesday. So mass, and this is again mid-July. So mass defaulting like this will have serious effects on their housing market, and it will be interesting to keep an eye on that in the future. Another thing to consider is the bank runs that are going on in China. So there are a lot of local and rural banks who have customers that can't access their funds. And so a lot of people's assets are being frozen. And so local governments are issuing bonds to replenish the bank's capital. As you can see, the governments are going to. It says 45 billion total at the end of August. So, these people are kind of freaking out. I mean, imagine having your life savings and it's completely frozen. And those are not the signs of a strong economy. I mean, this is something that we've seen in places like Greece. When Greece defaulted, they kind of had a limit on how much cash people could withdraw from ATMs and banks on any given day, which really kind of reduces the buying power of the entire population. I mean, imagine being a millionaire, but it doesn't really mean anything if you can only access $300 per day. And so that's like kind of a scary concept to think about. And in such a populous area like China, it's going to be interesting to watch the ramifications of that. There is a decline in housing prices, but there's still enough buyers to support the prices that the homes are being sold for. So
I think they're starting to be a little more flexible.
That's basically what she says here.
Valley, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. And in 2021, the prices were just insane. I think we experienced over 20% appreciation. We've definitely seen since March deceleration and stabilization. So if someone is looking or hoping to get what that one neighbor got at the very peak, which now appears to be March, that's not going to happen any longer. But if they're realistic for the price of their location, the condition, the square footage, they will still sell. There are still plenty of buyers out there.
So, basically what she says is that the peak is past, and but there's still buyers out there, and there's still sellers that are competitive. So you can still sell your home in this market, but just don't expect the prices that we got in the last couple of years. Economy in a recession, economists weigh in. So, I don't understand. Did we change the definition of recession? We said we're not there yet, pointing to strong labor market and rising wages. National Bureau of Economic Research, it has yet to call it, but regardless, consumers are struggling in the face of sky-high prices. So it's I hate to say that it feels like we're in a recession because I'm a data analysis kind of person, but it's just think about how much everything costs as a result of the rising energy costs, and it's how can you say that it's not a recession when we have less buying power than we did the same time last year in every market that we want to buy things, in our necessities, in our food, in our gas, our energy costs. Everything is more expensive, significantly more expensive than it was this time last year. And so you don't need data to tell you that, but obviously data would tell you that. Anyway, was it saying? Yeah, this definitely does feel like a recession, if that's what that means. It says we're really mad as paychecks aren't reaching as far. What you call it is less than relevant. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even matter. It's an official recession, so now it's different. It's it doesn't really matter if it's official or not. We can see what's happening, and so I think that's kind of something that the leadership is trying to contend with here, as far as trying to rework the definition of what a recession is. But there's still things where the market reacts based on whether people are saying it's in a recession. And people who listen to those authorities will trade based on the information that they receive. So the kind of things that the president and the Fed are trying to do as far as managing the narrative, it still is effective, on a macro level. Consumers are behaving like we're in a recession. Energy price shocks, like I was saying, energy costs are really what is driving the price of everything up, because every good that we receive to survive, all the food and all of those things that we have, it gets here by train or by truck, usually by truck. And trucks use gas and diesel to get places, and we get gas and diesel from places like Russia, well, not anymore, but from other places, and then we use our own reserves, which I guess there's not that much of. I don't really know too much about that. It's just another debate that people are having. But the point is that because the costs of fuel are so high that all of the other goods that use fuel to be transported or at any other stage in the process of their development uses fuel, then those costs are going up as well. I mean, you think about food, it's not just the truck that carries the beef to the supermarket, right? And that carries the produce. It's also like the truck that like cuts the grass that the farmer uses, that feeds the cow, that makes the beef, and then the machine that processes the beef and cuts it into slabs, and that uses electricity. So all of those things use energy to be produced. In every step of the process uses some form of energy, and the cost of that energy is a lot higher. And so as a result, all of the costs are going up. That's really what's going on in the economy. It's not, guys, it's not the president with the knob that turns the prices of everything up. It's not anything like that. It's really, the socioeconomic things that are going on in the world that are influencing it. I mean, one of the chief among them is the war with Russia and Ukraine. That's really having an impact on the world fuel production and supply. That said, I mean, those guys that, are the CEOs of those companies, they're not hurting for money. They're not hurting for cash. They're making all kinds of new money. They're making more money than they've ever made before. And that, continues to happen. Is that bad? I'm just, they're good at doing business, They're good at making money. Can't fault them for that. But just let's be realistic about, what's going on. It's not a political thing that causes the rise of gas prices and fuel prices and energy costs. It's the private companies that manipulate the markets and supply in order to increase their income. And we suffer as a result as the consumers that need those things. We need gas to get to work, and we need food to survive. So what are the solutions to this? I don't know. Go off the grid, grow your own food, and produce your own energy with solar power, wind power, just anything green. Even then, then you need like an electric car, something like that. I don't know, just spitballing. I guess I kind of went on a tangent there. What was the point of all of that? We're talking about whether or not we're in a recession, and I was talking about what the cause of the rising cost is, and it really is like the main thing is energy, the cost of energy. I like this. This is 3 tips, 3 ways to prepare your finances for a recession. Streamline your spending. If they expect they'll be forced to cut back, the sooner they do it, the better off they'll be. Yeah. Streamline your spending. And this is something I've been working on, reducing your expenses, because the key to wealth is it is generating and increasing how much income you generate and generating that income without having to work or trade your time for it. But also it's about reducing your expenses. So, I mean, when you hear the expression a penny saved is a penny earned, does that mean that you save every dollar that you make? That's not exactly what that expression means. That means if you decide not to spend that penny, it's the same as if you worked for that penny, if that makes sense. So if I reduce a bill that costs $50 a month, that's the same as making an extra $50 next month when I don't have to pay that bill. And so, reducing expenses is really important at any time, but especially now. Avoid variable rate debts. Most credit cards have a variable annual percentage rate. I agree with that, because as the interest rates increase, and they have no sign of stopping anytime soon, adjustable rate debt will be an issue. And home equity lines of credit will also be affected. So I have a buddy that was looking at getting solar on his house, and I hate to interfere with someone else's kind of like livelihood, right? Because it's his friend that wants to sell him panels. I hate to be like, don't buy solar right now, but at the same time, I told him maybe it's not a great idea to take on that kind of debt. And if you're going to make it a home equity line of credit, I mean, really think twice about it, because that is an encumbrance on your house that's needs to be paid off before you can sell the home. So right now, as it stands, you can sell the home if you really need to. If you need to move, you can sell your house and you still make a profit. But if you have a $50,000 home equity line of credit to pay off the solar panels, then you need to pay that off before you can even sell the home. Or you can sell the home and then you still have to pay that off after you sell the home, but you won't make as much of a profit and you won't have as much of a nest egg. So, yeah, variable rate debts. Yeah, be careful with that, especially now. Consider stashing extra cash in Series I bonds. That is actually something that I was talking to my friend about, and we did it. Series I bonds are bonds from the government. They're inflation-protected assets, like it says, nearly risk-free, and they pay, look at this, almost 10% annual rate through October, but you have to keep it in there for, I think it's at least 1 year, it says, and I think it fully matures at 5 years. So there's not a lot of liquidity there, but 10% return is a lot. I mean, that's as much as you'd have investing in the stock market, and at least with this, you can, you're assured that rate. So I have been I've been audiobook listening to, and tell me in the comments whether you think reading or audiobook, reading is the same as listening to an audiobook. Can you tell me, please? Because there's this debate that I have. I really think it is the same. I don't really see the difference. So what if you were blind and someone was reading the book to you, right? Are you saying that blind people that consume their books that way just don't read books? Is that what you're saying? They just don't count. Whatever. Anyway, so I was listening to an audiobook. It's called The $1 Million Real Estate Agent, and I like the approach that it takes is that on the macro level, this is what the top producers do to be successful. Because if you can take what they're doing, they've already run the course. They've seen what is successful. So you just take what they're doing and scale it down to where I am. That's kind of where where I need to be. So on a macro level, to net $1 million in commission, they would need to have spent $200,000 to $300,000 in customer acquisition costs and business expenses. So meaning that I will need to spend about 20 to 30% of what I expect to net in that transaction in order to get that transaction. So if I set my goal at $10,000, I should expect to spend $2,000 to $3,000 to get $10,000. So when I look at it that way, and it's just like everybody says, you got to spend money to make money. And so now I'm just being really cognizant and intentional about what I'm spending my money on. So I start this approach with my budget. Let's start with the budget and we'll take a look at where I am. So as far as income, this is the revenue that the business is generating, and this is $200 from a rental that still hasn't paid me. And it's kind of getting on my nerves because it's just totally unprofessional the way they've been acting. And I talked to their broker, and he also just said, give it a week and then, check. And it's come on, dude. Their guy yelled at me on the phone, and it's can we relax, please? Because, we're all realtors. We're members of a professional organization, which is something also I want to talk about, is that when a lot of people hear realtors, they think, oh, salesman, And I get it. I totally get why that is, but I also wish that I would like to work on getting back to the idea that being a realtor is a member of a professional organization, which it is. There are membership dues and there are codes of conduct that we have to follow as members of the realtor organization. And that's the difference between a real estate agent and a realtor. Is for one thing, you can see that every time you see it, it's copyrighted. You see that it has a trademark. So a realtor is, right here, National Association of Realtors. It's a trade association. In the same way that there's a difference between a lawyer and an attorney, in that a lawyer is someone who practices law and an attorney is a member of a professional organization. that a realtor is a member of a professional organization and, has the same code of integrity that the Realtors Association kind of operates based on. So that's just something that I would like to, change about the perception of realtors. Because, even on the surface level, the membership dues of what it costs to be a realtor, it's like an investment. And, it's not a job. It's not just like a title and like, oh, you passed like a 100-question test. It's, this is a business expense to be a member of this realtor organization. But the value of being a member, is worth that expense. Anyway, so let's talk about what our expenses are as far as the budget goes. For since July, I bought the website domain, which we'll take a look at my website. XYZ. So my website is chre.xyz. I still need to make some changes. I don't like the way this logo looks. The testimonials are fine. And then this is my contact information. And then if I hit speak to an expert, it will take them to the contact page so they can enter their contact information and submit it. And that's the most important part of this website. Also, these are interactive buttons that will take them to my social media pages, which I'm also investing in this month, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. So what are some other expenses? The email signature. I paid someone on Fiverr to make an email signature for me because all the stuff in HTML is really time consuming, and I just don't feel like dealing with it. I paid someone $7 to do it, and it came out really nice. The website hosting. So when you buy a domain, it needs to be hosted on a web service by a server. And so Bluehost charges $71 a year to host that website. So $71 I paid this year. The design for the website was $105.50, and I showed you what the website looked like. I mean, it's okay. It saved me time, and I'd say it's probably a $100 job. There are some things that I need to tweak about it, like the way it's hosted and everything, because it's still kind of slow. It's like not a really super fast website. And then I also want to work on generating content for my blog, because there's nothing really on this page. So I'm looking for someone who does that and kind of pricing out what the costs of generating blog content is. But that's in the future because I didn't really apportion any of the budget this month for that. So that costs $100. So I had some Facebook ads drawn up and designed for me, and let me just open this. We can take a look at some of the ads. So Facebook ads, you kind of have this is kind of how it works. You have a daily budget of X amount of dollars. I don't think I'll do 20. I have the budget on my other page, but you set it per day. And so it distributes your budget across the ad sets to get more results depending on your delivery optimization choices and bid strategy. I don't know. That's just fancy talk, dude. I just pay the money and then get the results and then analyze that data, dude. Like I said, it's using money to make money. I try not to specialize and get it too into the weeds on how these things work, because it's easy to do that and get lost and then just like waste your time like really just doing one thing. I'm really just focused on the input outputs. And then you take a macro approach and you zoom all the way out. And you just think, how much money am I going to put into this machine in order to get this much money out? And the whole process of real estate is figuring out how you get from one end to the other end, and then like how to do it most efficiently, and then how to do it reliably, so that you can say, I can expect to make this much money if I put this much money in. So yeah, that's why it's important for me to track the money that I'm spending here. Okay, Staples postcards. So I'll show you this. Okay. Yeah. I'll show you without the address. So what I've been doing is I work with foreclosures, and people that are in foreclosure, their information will be posted in usually on a newspaper or something, and this is usually the case in most states. It'll be published in a newspaper, and you can find their address, you can find what their name is, and how much they owe on the loan, as well as who is servicing the foreclosure. It's usually like an attorney's office or something that specializes in that, and they're the ones that carry out the foreclosure. They file all the paperwork and get it all the way to the auction. So you can find out all the information on, in your local newspaper or your Sunday paper. Now there's websites where you can find it, and even like some title representatives can give you that information. And sometimes they even skip trace like the contact information. But the problem is with foreclosures is it's hard to reach them. They don't answer their phones. They don't open their mail or anything. So it's hard to get that message across. There's a few things that are really strong in getting your message across, and this is across all marketing. But like sending an email is really strong because either way they're going to read the subject line. So you can put your message in the subject line, it's going to get through, even if they don't open the email. So that's stronger than even whatever is in the body of the email, because there's a chance that will never be opened. And it's the same with mail. So mail is really effective in getting things in people's hands. In fact, I think that it could be a stand-in for door-to-door, because nowadays a lot of people are upset when you knock on their door and you're unannounced and you didn't tell them you were coming over. And a lot of people have like the Ring camera thing, so they don't even come to the door. They're not even home, and they'll talk to you and they'll tell you to go away. And it's like, is that really a great use of my time when all I'm really doing most of the time is handing out a flyer, just making sure that the thing I printed gets in their hands? And it's like, if that's all I need to do, then why don't I just send a postcard? Because it's accomplishing the same thing, and it's saving me the trouble of going out in the heat where it's like 120 degrees because it's Las Vegas. It's really good to meet people, but haven't made anything happen yet out of that. So yeah, I think that mail is just as effective for getting your message across, but I think a postcard is the most effective because you don't have to open the envelope to get the message in the postcard. It's right on the front. So here's what I have printed on the postcard, and this is for people who are in foreclosure. So this is what it says on the front. It says, know your options. And we can help, team of real estate. So this is just saying you have options that are available to you, and you don't have to go it alone. And then on the back, it has my contact information, my headshot, which I don't think is great. I think it came out a little dark, and it has like all my stuff on it. And then I write the address and I put the stamp in the top right. Yeah, so why do I work with foreclosures? So I'm really passionate about letting people know what their options are. I think a lot of people that are in this situation are not aware that they can do other things besides just let the house be foreclosed on. A lot of people think that all they can do is sit and wait and hopefully move out when the time is right, and when the sheriff comes to their door, they'll be ready. But there's a lot of things they can do. For one thing, they could try and modify their loan. So they can get a reduced monthly payment, or they can have the missed monthly payments put back onto their loan. And a lot of times the reduced monthly payment will increase to a larger monthly payment in a year or a couple of years down the road. There's always a chance that the loan modification isn't approved. Sometimes the lender will say, we'd rather have the house than have you living in it. So for a lot of people, it's just kicking the can down the road, the loan modification. So if the house gets foreclosed on, if it makes it all the way down to the auction, there's a chance that it'll sell for less than the value of the loan that the borrower owes. So if they have a recourse loan, the lender could come after the borrower for the difference between the sale price and the amount of the loan. But the borrower could try and sell their home. So if they have enough equity, they could sell the home, just a regular sale, and try and make the profit and pay off the loan and move. Some people don't have that kind of equity, and they'll end up still owing if they try and sell the home. So that makes it not an option for them. But what they could do is short sell the home, which is basically settling the debt with the bank after the home is sold at a fair but competitive market price. The bank agrees to drop the rest of the remainder of the loan for the borrower, so they're off free and clear. It's also better for the borrower's credit because they'll be able to buy a home sooner depending on, what kind of loan they go for in the future. But the way it affects their credit is not as bad as having a foreclosure on your credit. So there's definitely advantages for a short sale for the borrower, and there's advantages for the lender on doing a short sale because they get the home back faster and they're making a profit off it faster instead of waiting for the whole foreclosure process. And then a lot of times when they go through the foreclosure process, the house is just completely destroyed by the person that was living in it. And so the lender likes to avoid things like that. And so it's advantageous for them to choose to do a short sale as well. Need some coffee here. Like I said, this is the pumpkin spice coffee. I'm an aficionado about coffee. But this is just the Starbucks stuff that they had at Sam's Club, and I'll tell you why. It's just really expensive to buy it whole bean, and it's also super time consuming to get the beans and then grind the beans at the proper amount and then put it in the thing and make the coffee. It's like, gosh, I just want to pour the grounds into the coffee thing and press on and go. There are times when I have, that kind of time, on the weekends, when I just want to make a good cup of coffee, and I'll do a coarse grind and make it in the French press. Really good. But, I'm not always in the mood for that. And it costs like $12 for 2 pounds of ground coffee, which is a really good price for that. So, yeah, all around, it's just an efficient decision to go with. I am not doing instant coffee yet. I'm not quite there yet, and I don't think that instant coffee is a good value as far as I know, because I think you get more coffee to the amount of grounds that you get. So the amount of ground coffee that you get more coffee out of it with just regular ground coffee than you do with instant. Anyway, we were talking about coffee and we're just like off on a tangent. Who's even watching this? This guy watching this guy talk about coffee and like spreadsheets and stuff. Anyway, what are you talking about? Short sale. And I showed you the postcard. So this is how much the postcard cost. It cost $48.76 to have it printed at Staples, and it cost $44 for the stamps. So about $95, something like that, total. And that's to ship them and everything. So I don't think that's a bad price. I still got plenty more. And what I do is I just get their kind of contact information. I fill out the card, and then I just send them out daily. Yeah, I think it's going to reach somebody. This is going to work. And it's not like a huge investment, like $100 to send out 100 postcards. It's like $1 postcard. That's not too much. Because like $100 is like 2 tanks of gas. And then it's like, how many people can I visit with 2 tanks of gas? I don't know, like 10. Maybe 10. Because of how long it takes to get there around the city and everything. Even using a super efficient route. Yeah, maybe like 10 people. I don't know. I'd have to do more math on that. So, anyway, let's talk about what I'm going to pay in the future. So, the first thing is the ads. It's going to be $60 per ad total. So, $4 a day for 15 days. I have 2 ads on here, and they're going to be running at $4 a day, and they're going to be running for 15 days. I'm going to see how many leads I generate, and then add up all the costs that it costs to make the ads and to run the ads, and then divide that by how many leads I got, and then we'll get a cost per lead on Facebook. And then the idea is to kind of tweak that and see how I can improve and pay less per lead and get more leads and more quality leads. So that's how I'm approaching that. Over here, I donated some items from my personal collection to the business, and the business sold these items. And so this is the revenue that they produced, and that's what's kind of helping me to swing this budget. Because like I said, I'm still waiting on this, and I hate to have more in expenses than I do in revenue right now. But what can you do? It's not even that much on the whole, But that's something that they said on in the $1 Million Real Estate Agent. They're like, you never want to lead with your expenses. You want to have more revenue than expenses at all times. They also said there's no such thing as miscellaneous expenses. If you want a list of 900 different categories for expenses for your business, you can check out this website. But yeah, there's no such thing as a miscellaneous expense. And so I'm taking that approach. Like everything that I do that costs money, I'm logging it. And I can categorize these later, but every single thing is itemized. So some of the things I'm going to look at in the future, like it says, the ad. I need this WordPress plugin, and it's going to be $50 a year. So I might get that this month. What is this? Facebook ad design. I can go ahead and get rid of this because I already bought that. So it's over on this column. I don't know how much any of this stuff will cost, and this is going to be my project in the next month. So I'm working on generating content for this channel just at the beginning, and then I'll start designing, stuff. But yeah, anyway, so running the Facebook ads right now. And there's this guy on YouTube, which I want to talk about. This guy, his name Evan Vance. That's it. This guy Evan Vance, he's like a real estate marketing wizard, and I just love all his videos. He's very insightful, and he's like a genius, and he seems really young. I'm like, this guy's going places, He's local to, I think he's in like Toronto, Canada, but some of the principles, like a lot of the principles, still apply anywhere. So definitely check out this guy's channel, and I hope we can work together in the future. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm going to do with Facebook ads this week. We're going to run the ads and then see what the response is. Okay. This is going to be an ongoing expense. We'll see how the postcards do, and we'll kind of tweak that. See how that goes. Okay. Something that I was playing around with the idea of cold caller, like having someone to call all the numbers and see if there's anybody there and if they're interested in buying or selling real estate. Because that's kind of what you do when you're on the phones. You just get a list of leads and you cold call them. You get a list of contact numbers. But the problem is, and this is like phones in general, I just don't think that they're a really viable source of leads. I think that it's like a saturated kind of market because everybody that's just getting into real estate does that, just calls like phone numbers. And sure, there's millions of people in the city, but there's also like hundreds of thousands of agents or something. There's like a crazy number of agents. And a lot of people are just weekend people that like do one transaction a year and maybe don't even renew. So there's a lot of people that are approaching it casually and not doing this kind of approach. So, I don't come at it from a scarcity mindset. There's definitely abundance of business out there for everybody. But I think that there might just be a better use of time and resources than maybe like a cold calling campaign. I think there's a better use of time and resources than that. But anyway, so it costs $600, and this is someone in a different country, and you give them a script and they kind of read it. So that's something I toyed around the idea with, but I don't think that that's going to be a viable solution. I think that having someone to run your Facebook and like create content and post it and then like kind of interact with other stuff, if I can find someone to do that, I think that's the next step. I think that's the most important thing because just organically kind of growing your page and increasing your interaction can generate leads from Facebook in addition to the ads that we're running. And I think those principles are universal across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the social media that are popular in the real estate space. So postcards. That's kind of what we're doing in the future. Okay, so I think that's it for the business update. I'll come back next video and we'll talk about how the ads did. The next thing would be the collector update. Okay, so this is just a fun start thing, and this is kind of like, okay, the thing that excites me about being a collector, especially with like coins and like currency, is the idea of using money to make money, and this is like doing that as a hobby. It's my favorite thing, is using money to make money and really just making money in general. And so this is a hobby that I've been getting into. So I bought a grab bag of mystery currency. I found out later it's probably not a great way to get started in coin collecting. That said, there were a few items in there that had, some serious value. Like there's a silver certificate, and it's like, it looks like a $1 bill, and it has a value of $8.99 expected value. So I went through and I priced all these things out. And I actually like talking about this because a lot of it is the way that real estate is as far as the market goes. So let's take, for example, this 1943 steel penny, for example. And this is something that is $2.99 that I valued it at. So what I like to do is I like to take a look at what is out there right now. Are there a lot of these single 1943 pennies? Not really. There's a lot of rolls full of these pennies. There's 3 together for $3.50, right? And there's 1 for $3.75. This is uncirculated, which is actually a really good price. I don't think this looks uncirculated though. And this looks like it's circulated. It's hard to really get a good look at that. And then this one is actually uncirculated, and $13. But this is what's on sale right now. So let's take a look at what is sold recently. Let's take a look at that. Here we have a 1943 D Lincoln steel penny for 99 cents. So that's kind of how much it sold for. And this isn't a case. Mine doesn't come with like a blister case like that, like a little pack. This one is a lot of pennies for $3.99. That's actually not a bad price. There's a few pennies that are rare years that you can look for. There's like one from 1942 and this one says most are 1942. There's one from 1942 where they printed the number wrong. They printed 1941 and then they printed 2 over it. So if you can find that one, that's worth like hundreds of dollars. So, that's like some of the appeal is kind of like gambling, right? You get a lot of these and it's like maybe one of them will have it. And I'll look at all of them and probably none of them have it because there's $3.99. But, something to do. What were we talking about again? Okay, yeah. So you see this one. It says beautiful toning, brilliant, uncirculated, $7.50 for this same one that I have. But mine is like much worse condition. This one is 99 cents, probably same condition. So I think that $2.99 is a fair value, and of course I have an expected value and I have an actual value. So I think $2.99 is like kind of a fair thing to expect from it. So we'll see how that goes. And this Indian head penny is $31, which is a really beautiful penny. I like the condition it's in. In fact, I would like to show this one. Let me see on there. It just does not want to focus on it. You know what? I'll just pull up the listing. I think the listing has better pictures. Listing active. There we go. Yeah, so I have starting bid $19.99. And this is a 1907 Indian head penny. It's a beautiful, beautiful penny. I don't even want to sell it, but I'm like, what am I going to do with it? The point of this whole thing is to make money. That's the point of this hobby. So, and it's just way more fun, this transient ownership thing, right? It's like, I owned it. I don't have to own it all the time because otherwise I'm just carrying all this stuff from my entire life and it's just weighing me down. But it's like, yeah, I have owned that in the past and it was fun to own that. And, I do that with guitars. Like, I've owned so many guitars and I've sold them because, it's like I don't play them anymore. Might as well have the money in my pocket. I'm not going to keep every guitar I've ever owned if I don't like it that much. Might as well. And, there's a certain amount of freedom that comes with, getting rid of those things that kind of weigh you down. So it's like, it's cool to have owned this thing, and now I'm ready to move on, sell it, and own something else. But yeah, hopefully this one sells for at least 20. Otherwise, I don't know if I can even get any profit from a $30.99 investment in that. I hope I can get some profit on that, some upside. Okay, so let's talk about the toys that I have. So a lot of these toys I collected from when I was young, and when I was a kid, I didn't take a lot of these toys out of the package. So a lot of these are mint condition. Let's take a look at Henry Jones action figure. So this is one that I listed a couple weeks ago, and I listed it for $20, and someone came in and bought it, like buy it now for like $30. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. And then I was like, why at such a high price? And so let me see. We can take a look at the So this one's selling for $49.99. This one's $29. And this is mine, $35.99. I think it's a fair price. This one is opened already, and I think it's the same one from this. Yeah. This one's opened already, and it's $44.99. I think it's fun. I like the open ones sometimes, but they're definitely worth less than the ones in the box. So this is interesting. I don't know which one came with the Holy Grail. Oh, is it what's inside that box? Is that what that is? Yeah, I just don't know what's in the box. Yeah. Well, this one, it has the Holy Grail in it. Anyway, so yeah, look at this one. $80 someone's selling this one for. And here, I'll tell you the truth. I got fleeced on one of these things. I was selling this Hot Wheels Back to the Future time machine from the first movie. So it didn't have the Mr. Fusion on the back. It was designed like the first movie, and the wheels didn't. And I sold it for like a couple bucks, and then I saw someone bought one the week prior to that for $90. So I just took a bath on that. And so I took all my listings down. I said, I got to look at each individual one and analyze what I think the value is and keep track of that. So I kind of merged that with the coin collection, which the coins were always like that. But now the toys are like that too, where it's like everything I've valued it out and decided what to sell it at and what I expect to get from it. There's a couple things, like I was looking at this Mace Windu sneak peek. So, let's take a look at sold listings, right? We're looking at Henry Jones action figures. So this one sold for $20, and it was part of a set. And this one sold for $16.99. I think when mine was bought, this is my original listing. When it sold for $30, it kind of made all the others go for lower prices. Because before that, this one sold for $38, and this one sold for $50, and this one sold for $60. Yeah, so I don't know if the market's going to see that kind of value again, where it's going for $50 or $60 now that they've been selling for $20 or $30. I mean, this one's $20 for. I don't know if this is the same line, but this is the whole collection of Raiders figures for $67, and that sold for $67. This is an amazing set. I just want to see this. Can we look at it? I know that bidding has ended. Can we look at the listing, please? Here we go. Okay. Wow. Yeah, you got Sala, you got Monkey Man. I made an action figure of that guy. How many indies were there? Just 2? You got Raiders indie. Other Raiders indie. What's that? Is that Last Crusade indie? There's other Raiders indie. Oh, cool. You got Belloc and you got Marion. You have Young Indiana Jones, and then there's that one from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'm not blown away by the collection of indies in here. These are all from Raiders. You don't have like a Temple of Doom indie, or because you have Young Indie. That's from Last Crusade. You have Henry Jones. That's from Last Crusade. But you don't even. This might be the indie from Last Crusade. I can't really see. Let's see. Do they have other pictures? No, this is indie from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And this one too. I thought this was from Raiders. That's so lame. Now, I would be excited about it if it had an indie from Raiders, it had an indie from Temple of Doom, and it had an indie from Last Crusade. Otherwise, this is not that cool. Yeah, 67 is probably a good price, though. I don't think that's an unfair price to ask for that. Okay. So that's just one example. What was the other one that I was talking about? Oh, okay. So the Mace Windu. Power of the Force, Mace Windu. So you kind of, with action figures, you usually go by the collection that they were a part of. So this is the Kenner Power of the Force collection, Mace Windu, which is a preview. This is from Phantom Menace. This is before Phantom Menace came out, and it has Mace Windu with a blue lightsaber because he never used the lightsaber in Phantom Menace, so they didn't decide what color his lightsaber would be until Attack of the Clones. So I thought this would be a pretty rare one because, you know, the lightsaber thing and everything, and this is... But I think there was a lot that were produced. There were a lot produced of this one, and there's just so many in circulation. And they're at all these price points. Like this one at $19.95 is never going to sell. Not when I can buy it now for $3.99. The difference in the condition of the box is minimal. I mean, this box is really good. This is a great condition of the box, but the difference in the price is just crazy. You're not going to get $19.95 for that. Maybe you'll get $10. Like this one, mint condition, $10. I think that's probably fair. But ultimately, like I've denoted with my color coding here, that market is saturated. It's not a good idea to sell the Mace Windu right now because there's too many out there. The same goes for, I have an Endor Leia from Return of the Jedi from the Saga collection, which is the line from 2007. And there's too many of those in circulation right now, and it's just a saturated market. Okay, so let's talk about our Matchbox cars. So, well, actually, since we're still on the subject of Star Wars, I want to talk about planned acquisitions because these are a few things. The first thing I want is this Taco Bell Yoda mirror toy. So I made an offer on this, and they didn't accept it. But this is a mint condition. Oh, but it's out of the bag. Anyway, this toy from Taco Bell, I really want it. I don't want to pay more than $10. More than $10 for this. If I pay $10 here, it'll be like $15. So I kind of want to get it at $10 and maybe try and flip it for $15 if I can. Maybe try and flip it for $12. In fact, if I can get one for $5 and sell it for $10 or $11, that would be kind of where I want to be at this one. But this is just something I had when I was a kid, and I really like it. I like looking at it. And, you know, if that one doesn't sell, I wouldn't mind having this one on my desk, especially at $5. This is exactly what I want. So that one's not so much of like a play as kind of just something, a piece that I want. Let's look at this Darth Vader piggy bank. I got this, and I'm really excited about this. In fact, I'm not even going to go on eBay. We're just going to look at YouTube. So this is the Thinkway Darth Vader piggy bank, and
Impressive. Most impressive. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Yeah, this is so good. And this is from 1996. So a lot of the ones that you see on, a lot of the ones you see out there, like on eBay, they'll be broken. See this? So that's a really good condition, and it comes with a box, and they're selling it for $47.99. This one is not with the box. It looks like it's broken. Yeah, it looks like the lightsaber broke off, and this is $10. This one is $25, and it looks like it doesn't have the bank, or maybe this is a different toy. I think this might be a different toy. Okay, so this is another one, $15.30. This one's $30 in the box. So this one is kind of a play. I want to get it. I think it's in a box. I think the box is open, so I'd like to take it out of the box and put batteries in it and play with it for a little bit. But most of all, I would like to sell it for between 40 and 50. So I paid 35 for it. So if I can get between 40 and 50, which I think the market would support something like that, then I would be excited to do so. Wow, this also Thinkway, and this is Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, I don't think I'm familiar with this one. Let's see. Do we have a? I'm sure there's a video. Oh, okay.
Hello, this is Wayne from Wayne's Books.
All right.
This out.
Does it not make noise? Okay.
Be wary. I sense a disturbance in the force. Remember, concentrate on the moment. Feel. Don't think.
That's pretty cool.
Use your instincts. May the force be with you.
Very cool. Very cool. I like the Darth Vader one better. Also, I don't like that Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber is blue on this toy. Why would they make it like that? It looks more green in this photo, but it looks blue in the video. So maybe it's just the video, the lighting, and everything there. Oh, man, they made one with Darth Maul. That's crazy. Okay. So, what are some other things? The planned acquisitions. This 1977 Kenner Darth Vader. Oh, the Power of the Force Stormtrooper Luke is the main one that we're trying to leverage all of our Star Wars money. I'm trying to leverage all of the Star Wars money into getting this Power of the Force Stormtrooper Luke. This is the original. It comes with a coin like that, and we want to see it in the package. So this one. So I saw one for $139. This one's $150. But we want the Stormtrooper Luke from the original Kenner collection, and we want the Stormtrooper Han, which doesn't have a box because at the time you had to send in like box tops or whatever to get it, and they send it to you in the mail. So let's see if we can find that one. The Stormtrooper Han is special. But here's the thing. This is a reproduction, so they made a box. They created one. And this is like what the box would have looked like if it did have a box. But it didn't come with one. It looked like this. Not this one, though. These are from the newer Kenner collection. Yeah, I mean, these are like impossible to find. Look at this, Han Solo and Carbonite, and this is just the package that came in. It doesn't even include the toy. Someone's selling it for $30. Crazy. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I just got some stuff and listing it, selling it, and then trying to leverage it into some better, Star Wars memorabilia. I'm doing the same with Matchbox cars. So I would like to get an assorted lot of Matchbox cars and kind of see what I can do with that. I'm also trying to get a Toyota MR2, which I got a 1986 Toyota MR2. I paid about $10 for it. So I want the 1984 Toyota MR2, and we'll see what the yeah, this is a highly sought after vehicle. See, this one is a reproduction, so we want to find. See, here's 4, and they have different like variations. So this is 4 of the same variation, I think. Yeah. 14 out of 100, yeah. And that's selling for 15. If you buy it now, it's 30. So something like that. This is a different variation. This one is a blue one. Yeah, so these are pretty cool. And there are some that are really valuable. And let's see what they're selling for. It's like $8, but these are the reproductions. So this one says 150 for that. 14 out of 100. Or is this still the new one? Where's the back of it? See, I don't know, man. I'm just getting into this. I just found a bunch of Matchbox cars, and I think that, well, I have a few that might be able to sell for a good amount. Like, I have one that I'm listing right now, for $11.99. Active. Here it is. The Crown Vic. Yeah. So I have this Crown Vic listed at $11.99, and I saw one sell for $19.99 last week. So I think that I can get a good price on this Crown Vic, and so that'll at least give the cover for the MR2 that I bought, and then hopefully, I think, don't I have another Matchbox car up, or is it this one? So yeah, I'm gonna be selling this Cadillac Eldorado, this Matchbox Cadillac Eldorado, and I think that will be, yeah, like $5 I should get for that. This Ford GT I'm selling for $299. So that one should, yeah. Anyway. So, that's kind of what these videos are going to be about. It's just like real estate, money, 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 and more money. And then, that'll be it. So I think I had a good time, talking about stuff. I don't think there's anything I'm missing. If there is, just tune in for the next week. I'll just remember it by then, or I'll forget it because it wasn't really that important. You know what I mean? That was a pretty fun time, though. My coffee got stale. I bet this coffee's still warm. A little bit of coffee left. I think that's everything. I hope that you enjoyed it, and watch this video at like double speed, because I was probably talking really slow, and I watch all my videos at double speed. Yeah, good luck, and see you guys later.